Palisades Drive right there in the center of your screen. And it goes up to that neighborhood in that area. They, for the most part, don't have another way out. So you can see how tricky that can be if they can't contain the fire.
We also have Brian Humphrey with LA City Fire now joining us on the phone. Thanks for joining us right now. What can you tell us as far as the manpower that you're trying to get to this fire and whether there are going to be any evacuations put in place here?
Well, Brandy, there are more than 150 men and women from the city and county of Los Angeles responding by ground and air to this incident. And as you've seen Scott mention, we're hitting it hard and fast. The helicopter's hitting the head of the flames, and as we seek to bring the ground crews in to flank them. As mentioned, this blaze, for those just joining us, is near the 800 block of North Palisades Drive, the street that we see most closely affected where the homes are on Charmel Lane and also those homes on Vista Grande Drive. At this time, no structures have been damaged. We're pleased to report there are no injuries.
And we're seeing from the video that Scott's showing us right now of these homeowners in their backyards, and we see this time and time again. They're hosing down their roofs. I mean, this gentleman right there is dangerously close to the smoke and flames. Is this a point where you tell people, okay, it's time to get out, or is this something that you recommend these homeowners do until your crews can arrive there for structure protection?
Well, our fire department has been in existence for 133 years, and we've never seen a situation where a homeowner has been able to protect their home in such a situation with just a garden hose. So we're asking people to leave and be safe and allow firefighters to move in. As we like to say, if you give us the space to do our job, we will defend your home, your family, do everything we can, but people have to leave. As you're seeing this live shot, people stacking cars behind each other, scrambling for their keys. Obviously, it's a very tense situation here. So we're asking people who may be in this neighborhood to please leave their homes in a calm and orderly fashion, allow firefighters to get in and do their job.
And how difficult, we see your crews now arriving on scene there for structure protection as these homeowners are going to try to get out in their vehicles. How difficult is it for your crews to get up there on, really what is essentially kind of a one-way up and one-way down as all these families now try to flee?
Well, the only thing could be worse here would be the middle of the night with strong winds. And thankfully, we have broad, clear daylight. And as Scott mentioned earlier, we have no winds in this area. This is a great gift to us as we seek to battle the flames. Now, these homeowners have also done a wonderful job in brush clearance where they can. The very steep hillsides with a tinder dry brush behind them are outside their property lines and obviously can't be cleared. But we have the space to defend these homes if we can get in and do it.
And we talk about this time and time again about that brush clearance, and luckily some of these homeowners have done that. As far as your, fire crews that you've been manning, we've heard time and time again too, you guys have extra units right now, correct? You are staffed to what would normally be just a regular fire season, but it's been upped even more now because of the fire danger that we've seen with the Santa Anas. Fortunately, not right now, but your fire crews you have extra fire crews on hand, correct?
In the last 11 days, this is the single day of lowest fire weather danger that we've experienced in nearly 2 weeks. And even then, it's down to the very high level. Has been extreme level danger for the last 11 days. And the notch went down 1 to very high. And even then, we can see this extreme fire behavior. So we do have some slight augmentation of our staff. We have our helicopters all ready to go. We have our ground crews ready. And the only thing we would do more than this if we had red flag fire weather, which thankfully we don't. Again, we have moderate humidity, and we're blessed to have no wind.
And Brian, watching this shot, we just saw another helicopter drop. So many of us are always amazed at the pinpoint precision that your crews are able to make these drops. What kind of units are you hoping, I guess, to put in right now into place when it comes to fighting this fire overhead from the air?
Well, what you saw there was an LA County Fire Department helicopter, underscoring the teamwork that takes place. When it comes to battling wildfire, your local, regional, state, and federal firefighters are one team and one fight. And the LA County Fire Department is joining us side by side, bringing their aircraft in to battle the flames. We work together. When it comes to battling these types of fires, there are no borders or boundaries in the fire service. We must work against a common enemy. But the one thing we can't stress enough is the importance for homeowners to plan and to prepare. If you don't live in the Palisades today, please understand that what you see here today could happen in your neighborhood. Even if you live far from the brush hillsides, wind-driven embers can spread fire very quickly. So as we seek to contain this fire, hopefully inside this canyon, and prevent any homes or being lost or any injuries, we ask people to take time to study online our Ready, Set, Go campaign, how they should be ready, especially in this time of extreme wildfire danger, to be prepared to leave their homes at a moment's notice.
It's so interesting that you bring that up, because every time we go out and we talk to families about this, they tend to tell us, I should have gotten the pictures together or the important documents, and I should have a go bag ready, but I just haven't done it yet, because you never think that it's going to happen in your neighborhood. Again, we're joined right now by Brian Humphreys with LA City Fire. You can see the fire crews on the ground, Scott Reif overhead in Air 7 HD. And I can't help but, just underscore, Brian, what you mentioned when it comes to the winds. Had this been any other day over the weekend in different areas, this could be a whole different scenario right now.
Absolutely, it could be. And this area is historically prone to wildfire. It has been long before we arrived, and it will be in the future. So we need to look at this as an ecosystem, a year-round situation, and understand that the best thing we can do is help to prevent these fires and be prepared for when they do occur. What you're seeing here is a firefighter who's now using a larger hand line than the homeowner who had been using the garden hose. That homeowner has thankfully been brought back into their home and is hopefully preparing to evacuate. And as the camera pans here, we can see the extreme flame lengths.
Yeah.
And if we
it appears we may have
fire
lost.
danger,
There's Brian.
we can only imagine what we'll be facing this Thursday and Friday as the fire danger moves to extreme, and we expect very strong Santa Ana winds.
So when we look at this, Brian, we look at these flames, especially approaching those homes there on the middle part of your screen, and there aren't strong winds. So this is just merely the dry brush that we've grown accustomed to, just completely getting devoured, and it doesn't need the wind when it comes uphill and it comes to the angle that this fire is coming in on in order for it to rage this powerfully.
This is correct. This is what's considered a train-driven wildfire. Now, flames do move uphill faster than they move downhill, and the heat does preheat the brush. Even these apparently green trees will soon be fully involved with flames, and you can easily be deceived in thinking you're in a green belt and that you're safe when you're not. But there are no appreciable winds spanning the fire. Any movement you see of smoke in this blaze is purely due to the fire itself.
And when you look at these homes, when it comes to structure protection, and I'm looking at these backyards, is this what you've asked people to do? Are you seeing homes in any of these shots where you're like, man, I wish you would have cleared more of that back?
Well, in this case, the property line typically ends where the hillside begins, and people cannot go off of their own property to clear. But the city of Los Angeles has the strictest brush clearance requirements in the state of California. 200 feet from a home is what's required to be cleared on a person's property. And the vast majority of the roughly 140,000 parcels that we inspect each year are in compliance, and they know that this is a year-round concern. Wildfires don't only occur in the fall, they occur certainly year-round. So we remind people when they look at their property, think of what could happen. Right now, the incident commander is telling me that we appear to have sufficient resources at this incident. We are bringing in reinforcements should the fire continue, and we certainly should have a couple more aircraft on this fire pretty quickly here, hopefully tying down the head of the flame and preventing the fire from moving forward. And I will just draw your attention to the center of your image. You have a great image here as we see the brush, the typically green brush alongside that one house there has apparently been struck by some embers, and now we do have a home being threatened.
Oh, that's unfortunate. It's towards the upper right-hand corner of your screen there, Scott. Thank you for zooming in. That's what tends to happen. And we don't even have the strong winds, as we continue to mention right now at 11:15. If you're just now joining us, this is the Pacific Palisades area, and there is a massive brush fire that is threatening homes there right along Palisades Drive. You're looking at a house here, and it appears that is firefighters now realizing that the embers have spread. It's getting closer to the home. And Brian, I have to ask you, when it comes to these crews, you see the dramatic fire lines that they're having to fight and trying to protect these homes. How close can they get before it's time to either hit it with air or for them to get out?
Well, we plan and prepare to stay to the very last minute possible. There's no pat answer. We certainly have to look at the surroundings. These streets are thankfully wide. They are not congested, so we can stay a little bit longer. If people evacuate their neighborhoods sooner, we are able to stay longer. It's when people stay behind in a vain attempt to protect their homes that we have the challenges of getting resources in and out. So we plan on standing on this street, defending these homes. It's likely that we'll be successful thanks to the helicopters. We can't thank the people of Los Angeles enough. They give us the 3 T's for success. They give us the right team, they give us the right tools, and they give us the right training. And with that much said, especially these helicopters, they are a vital resource in stopping the head of the fire where it's most significant to grow and cause harm.
This fire, as you can see, burning in extremely steep terrain. Brian Humphrey's joining us from the LA Fire Department. We also have Scott Reif overhead in Air 7 HD as we're going to stay with these homes being threatened right now. This fire sparked right before 11 a.m., I believe, Brian, and it's supposed to be 1 acre originally. The minute we came on the air, it seemed to have spread very quickly, at least it looked so as far as the size, without any wind efforts whatsoever.
That's correct. We don't have a current acreage figure, and while that's of interest to us, the greatest number we're focusing on the fact that there have been no injuries and thankfully no homes damaged. The aircraft you see moving into the center of the picture is considered the most omnipotent firefighting aircraft we have. That's Helitanker 735, the Erickson Air Crane. That's on its 18th year of contract to the city of Los Angeles. The LAFD has been honored to have that aircraft under lease on a seasonal basis. That aircraft can drop as much as 2,600 gallons of water or water and foam concentrate, and it is a great resource. It truly lives up to its name. The nickname of that aircraft you just saw, the Incredible Hulk.
Incredible.
So with that Helitanker and others coming in, we should be gaining the upper hand in this place shortly.
It's really is it for your crews right there that are pulled along the side on the ground to kind of be focused on just maintaining that the fire doesn't hit any more of those bushes like you just saw moments ago, and making sure the homes don't catch while the helicopters then take care of the main fire line as it progresses?
You touch on a top priority, but not the top priority.
Okay.
The top priority, sadly, is making sure that people are out of harm's way. In this case, the people who have yet to evacuate or are remaining behind, making sure they get out of harm's way, because they are the most precious thing, life above all else.
Mm-hmm.
That much said, the next most important thing is, as you mentioned, protecting these people's homes, their treasures, their memories, an immense investment, watching out for their pets and other things that are left behind. There's an immense amount of work here, and as a fast-moving wildfire like this, our resources are spread thin, and when people evacuate early, they really help us do our job.
Yeah, get everyone out of the way so you guys can move in and do whatever you can. Right now, we have more than 150 firefighters battling this from the ground and the air. Those helo tankers that you just mentioned, where are they getting their water right now, Brian?
I have not yet seen. We have a variety of reservoirs in the area they can take from the ocean, but typically do not. The fixed-wing super scoopers often do, depending on how choppy the seas may be nearby. But we do have some reservoirs nearby, and the helitanker that you saw can fill in a little more than a minute and be back at the scene. And now you look at the scene here. This is not snow. This is again an ember cast, as we're seeing the onshore breeze ever so slightly moving the smoke back over. And this is when we start having problems with evacuation. People who were in the bright sunlight begin to realize that the tables may be turning. And we have to keep a close eye here as visibility is limited, and making sure that, again, people get out. I can't stress it enough. People get out of harm's way so firefighters can get in and do the most important things and then protect their belongings.
And with so many homes threatened right now by this brush fire that has been growing, you can see your crews there trying to douse it. They're hidden behind that home there from the ground as we continue to see water drops from the air. That smoke has grown considerably darker, more vast, thicker. And like you said, it's not snowing. These are embers, it appears, that are falling. How dangerous is that? I mean, obviously, your crews have the right gear with them to protect themselves in these situations. But for the homeowners, I doubt it that they have anything that's going to protect them.
Well, and that it certainly is a conception that many people have, and we want to dispel that. Many people think they can go and they can buy the gear that we wear, but the strength is not the gear that we wear, but the training that we have, the sense that we gain on decades of firefighting and these kinds of situations. It is that knowledge and that experience that really helps us stay safe. And now you see moving into the scene, one of County Fire's Firehawk helicopters dropping about 1,000 gallons of water again on the head of the fire. To keep the focus here is to stop the forward progress of these flames and to hold this fire into this canyon, prevent it from damaging homes, and most importantly, prevent injury.
I'm looking at these gentlemen here with water hoses, Brian, with these flames approaching, and they're massive coming up that hillside. I mean, I'm assuming this is something you do not want homeowners to be doing in a situation like this right now.
Well, if you've taken a junior high school science class, you realize the heat energy there is not going to be dispelled with a garden hose. There's nothing that garden hose can do against that type of flame. It truly is a fruitless effort. People feel good. They want to feel that they did all that was humanly possible. But if this fire was to catch these seemingly green trees on fire, these three people here, apparently men or four of them, could be very badly burned and spend weeks or months in a burn center. So it's just not worth it when you think of all the harm that can come. And we're hoping that they'll evacuate shortly. Unfortunately, firefighters are not able to go into every backyard in this neighborhood just yet to let them know what peril they're in.
Again, you're joining us right now. We have live continuous coverage of a brush fire that is burning out of control right now in Pacific Palisades there. And we have countless firefighters on the scene, on the ground, and in the air trying to put this one out as quickly as possible. They've been attacking it nonstop with amazing water drops like the one you're watching right now. I'm getting word from our desk too, Brian, that we're getting fixed-wing aircraft being ordered by the fire department. What can you tell us about that?
Well, the fixed-wing aircraft will include both offensive aircraft, the aforementioned Super Scoopers, the bright yellow airships that are on lease to the county fire department from Quebec, Canada, and if retardant is necessary, which has been in the staging sense, the aircraft that dropped the slurry, the retardant slurry, the Phos-Chek. Right now, we're hoping for offensive aircraft. The Super Scoopers is the first angle here, and the retardant aircraft, if they are to be used, will be used at somewhat of a distance from this fire. But we want to keep this fire from moving any further into the Santa Monica Mountains. I do have to attend an 11:30 briefing with the incident command, so I want to thank you so much for joining us. Please stay tuned and let your viewers know that even if you may not hear us on air, we're in constant contact with the Channel 7 newsroom, making sure that they have the very latest for you to bring to the air.
And Brian Humphrey with LA Fire, thank you so much for your time and your perspective and keeping us up to date on all the details. We'll let you go back to that briefing meeting, and if you get anything, we're looking forward to your updates as well after that meeting, sir. Okay, you have Scott Ripe overhead in Air 7 HD. Scott, we just heard from Brian, and I mean, the winds aren't even, look at this. The winds are not even strong right now, and these gentlemen are now possibly running for their lives. They found themselves in a dangerous situation.
Yeah, they wanted to stay and try and protect their homes, but it looks like this home right here is going to be very difficult to protect. Oh, my goodness, they were in the back with the garden hoses. You saw that shot, and within just a few moments, it ripped up that hillside, and basically they had to make a run for it, get back out onto the street. And at this particular home, anyways, there's about a dozen on Charmel Lane. This home here is on Vista Grande Drive, above Palisades Drive. For this particular home, there's no structure protection here yet. The fire department has not gotten into the back of these homes, so I really think these right now are exposed. They're going to be difficult, or it's going to be very difficult to stop the fire from spreading to those homes. That one under construction especially, that's going to go up very quickly if an ember would get on that. If we go to the right, this is Charnel Lane. Now, we actually saw under the smoke there a few moments ago, one of the homes had the trees right next to it. And then we actually saw embers on the structure itself. It's that structure right there that City Fire is hitting with a water cannon. It looks like they're trying to get as much water on top of that as possible because it did start on fire. Right there in the center of your screen, it looks like there might be some flames on that home, and you can see the smoke becomes an issue. Even if a resident says, hey, I'm going to get out here and try and stop this as much as I can and save it, at one point you'll be smoked out. You'll have to make a run for it. Let's push back in right there, Jamie, because we had a heavy amount of high flames coming up the hill. It's terrain driven. So once it gets to the top of the hill, it will die down a little bit. It's those hot air rises and it comes up that ridge line. That's what we're seeing. That's why this is taken off for the most part without any wind here. But this is, if you live in this area, you're watching, you know someone that does, Vista Grande Drive, you have to get off of that street. Open up a little bit. That's Vista Grande Drive right there. You see a firefighter just pulling up. The other street that sort of parallels it and turns to the right, that's Charmel Lane. So basically all of those homes right now are threatened. The sky crane will be right back. Went to Encino Reservoir, or the air crane. And we understand the Super Scoopers, we believe they are airborne. They can get water right off the Pacific Ocean and get back in here. So it looks like we're going to get more support here at any moment. But the fire department just showed up now for these homes right here. And you can see right there, you still have residents saying, boy, let's get out of here, and backing their vehicles out as quickly as possible, getting what they can get and getting out. And then you still have some with their garden hoses thinking they're going to try and save what they can. You know, it's their home. They want to do the best they can to save it. But in some circumstances, that can get you injured or killed. And these are the type of circumstances when that can happen. And we've seen a lot of folks just making a run for it, Brandy, trying to get away from their homes when the fire got to the top of that ridgeline.
Oh, man, here's another look on the right from that moment when that fire started coming up that hillside, and those are the men with the garden hoses who ended up making a run for it. I want to give you a quick update. 20 acres have now burned in this fire, and Brianna Ruffalo standing by. Brianna, as we continue to look over these live pictures with Scott and some of the earlier video of just how large these flames are, what's surprising and we're kind of thankful right now is there aren't very strong winds right now.
Yeah, Brandy, they expired the wind advisories. They're supposed to be in effect through noon today, and then those actually expired, and we could see them return this afternoon. But but for the most part, we are seeing fairly calm winds in most areas, but we can see gusts in Malibu up to about 25 miles per hour over the next couple of hours, and then it should be calm the rest of the afternoon. So we do still have a chance to see some of those gusts pick up. Right now, it's looking like conditions are pretty warm out there. We're at 86 degrees. This is looking at our Malibu camera. We did see this tree moving around just a little while ago, and so it's been a bit of a breeze in some areas. Not bad, though, for the most part. But we do have the chance to see these winds pick up again over the next couple hours. We could see gusts up to about 25 miles per hour through about 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. And then the rest of the afternoon, it is going to be fairly calm. And then we'll see them pick up again tonight, overnight. So by about midnight, we'll see gusts up to about 20 miles per hour again. So we'll get a break this afternoon. But again, they're not expected to be bad today. These Santa Ana is going to be fairly weak to moderate that we're going to be seeing. But temperatures are going to be warm and it's going to be dry. We've had low humidity levels along the coast this morning. And that's going to be the case really through the day. We're going to see those humidity levels drop. We're going to have warm temperatures, especially by the beaches today. And then we'll see those wind speeds there too. You see it's a fairly calm in most spots, but we are seeing those Santa Anas pick up in some of the areas that are normally prone to them. And that's going to be the case through the afternoon. And then we'll see them get stronger at the end of the week though. So today, tomorrow, going to be fairly breezy and windy, getting a break. This afternoon, we'll see them pick up again overnight into tomorrow. And we may see those wind advisories again. But as of right now, they've been expired. They were supposed to be in effect through noon. But you can see those temperatures out there getting much warmer. Santa Monica, we're at about 86 degrees there right now. And so we're seeing a lot of mid 80s out there. And these temperatures are just going to keep getting warmer. So the good news is these winds are not too bad right now, but over the next couple hours, we still have a few hours where we could see some gusts in Malibu. But again, not expected to be extremely strong today. The stronger Santa Ana event is going to be toward the end of the week. Brandy, back to you.
Okay, Brianna, thanks for the weather update there. Very warm, but at least the winds aren't too terribly strong right now. Still, there are gusts, and we continue to see one drop after the other perform live right now. Here comes another one from one of those amazing aircraft. Moments ago, Scott, I always give these firefighters are amazing, especially these pilots here. That last drop they made about maybe 30 seconds ago right next to that home may have possibly saved it.
Absolutely. I don't know if somebody's re-racking that. We'd love to see that again. That was just phenomenal because what we had was a portion of the deck on one of the homes just take off, thick black smoke. That home right there, and you could still see they still have some black smoke in the back, but it was starting to take off to the house. The sky crane made a drop there, the air crane, and boy, it just stopped that immediately. And now we have firefighters and structure protection just showing up. PD was inside a lot of these homes. Saw the front doors get open, trying to make certain there was no one inside because all of these homes are threatened. I want to give you a wide shot for just a moment here. The super scoopers are en route. They're going to make a drop in a moment, and they probably will drop. I'm not sure if they'll drop over the homes. You know, they're not going to be able to get as low as the helicopters, and they're not going to be able to fly underneath or through that smoke. That's not going to happen, but they will get down in here, and they'll make an effect more on the side down below. They hit some of that fuel coming up the hillside. But overall, it's calmed down just a little bit, and that would be expected. What happens is it burns up a steep ridge like that so fast, so quickly, it can catch people off guard. Once it gets to the top, though, it's lost the most of its fuel unless it spreads to one of these homes. And for the most part, besides that one home, we saw the roof catch on fire, and the other home where they made that drop with the sky crane, for the most part, we've seen fire crews be able to stop this from spreading to the structure. There's some, if we open up now, Jamie, I want to just give folks an idea of how much smoke there is. We don't see that black smoke, and unfortunately, a lot of the flame that's coming up the hillside is obscured, right? We can't see those homes off Charmel Lane, and the other one's off Vista Grande Drive. That peers to the left and to the left side of your screen. Charnel sort of runs up along the ridge line, I should say. But it's tough for firefighters as well because the helicopters can't get through that smoke for the most part and make the low drops. But the super scoopers are en route. It looks a little better than it did a few moments ago, which is to be expected because it burned all that heavy fuel right up to the top of the hill. And now the real effort and the real battle is to try and make certain that none of these homes are lost. Right now, I think they're going to be able to accomplish that. And one of the reasons is we don't have much in the way of winds. For the most part, it's just a hillside coming up. And this is compressed, the shot. I can't tell if that's the home on fire or it's just the side there. But you can see they put a lot of water on it already, and they're concerned about that home.
If you were just now joining us, this is Eyewitness News at 11:30 with our continuous coverage right now of this brush fire that is burning out of control in Pacific Palisades. On your map on your screen there, you see it's in the 800 block of Palisades Drive that you're looking at right now, and a hillside that we've seen pretty much explode into flames as this fire moved its way up into the backyards of these homes, and many of them are threatened right now. More than 150 firefighters on the ground and in the air, and they have immediately tried to put every amount of fire suppression they can on this. If there's any good news we can report, which is hard to report good news in a situation like this, is there aren't very extremely strong winds that we've seen over the past couple of days and weeks when it comes to the red flag warnings and those Santa Anas that can kick in. Still, they have some pretty decent gusts come through time and time again, according to Brianna Ruffalo, who's also standing by with Scott Reif overhead in Air 7 HD. Scott, when we talk about those super scoopers that are coming in, we were talking with Brian Humphrey from LA City Fire too. They aren't going to be able to just dump a ton of water on top of these homes, correct? They're going to try to stop this from spreading to maybe farther down the line along the hillside there and maybe protect some of the other homes that could eventually be in the path.
Exactly. More than likely, they're going to try and get their water on the brush and stop it from really just starting to get so hot and intense that they can't stop it from spreading. It's going to be difficult, though, as you see this shot, when we open up a little bit, you know, for the helicopters even to get water exactly where they want, because now it's a smoke event. But it's good to look at this shot and not see a lot of thick black smoke. We're seeing mostly white smoke. We're seeing a lot of structure protection in place. That aircraft right there can drop 1,000 gallons. That's a Black Hawk. They turned it into a Skyhawk. And you can see how effective those water drops are. And Brandy, I don't know if we could re-rack that drop from the sky crane to the air crane. That was phenomenal. I mean, that really saved the house. It looked like it was a direct hit. It stopped that fire from completely starting to consume the home. So just to give you an idea, that is Charmel Lane that runs right along the ridgeline. And then to the left of your screen, that's Vista Grande Drive. So if you live here, you know someone who does, it'll give you a little perspective on the exact homes they're trying to save. If there's good news, we just don't have much in the way of winds, as you mentioned. Also, most of the fuel up towards those homes has already burned. If we had the high winds, you'd really be worried about the embers and spot fires. And then you really got to be worried about getting trapped. In a situation like this, it looks like most of the fuel, that heavy fuel, the trees alongside of the homes, for the most part, a lot of it is burned, and that's why we're seeing a lot of white smoke. What a great drop once again.
Mm-hmm.
You really see how effective that is. Now, I think those are some of the folks who took off and ran, and then now they came back in to try and save their home, because basically what they're looking at is they're saying, hey, the fire department's here with us. The helicopters are making drops. I want to try and save my house. So in a sense, you can't blame them. But then we've also seen LAPD in here trying to tell everybody to get out.
Yeah, and we've heard from LA Fire when Brian Humphrey was with us earlier before he had to go to a briefing on this fire. He was mentioning that while, of course, homeowners, like you said, Scott, are going to want to try to save their home, the fire hoses are not going to do it in this situation. And sometimes these homeowners end up getting in the way of the fire crews from doing their job. You can see the much more powerful fire hoses that the crew right there in the center of your screen is now using to put out any hot spots, any decking. You know, Scott, what's scary for a lot of people who are going to be watching this right now, they might be at work or, you know, watching it on the app as they're trying to get to this neighborhood, is we're seeing some of these embers pick up in bushes here and there, getting a lot closer to the homes. But fortunately, we're also seeing those fire crews right on top of it and trying to put those little small fires out.
Yeah, when we first got on scene, I think we were all really concerned because we did not have structure protection in place. LA City Fire and LA County Fire haven't really established themselves around this ridge line off of Charmel, but they have now. They're calling this fire about 30 acres. And I think like those people took off and ran because they saw that huge wall of flames coming up the hill. And then now it's died down. It burned the fuel that was on the ridge line. It's laid down quite nicely. And they're back in the backyards trying to do whatever they can do to help. Now, you still see some flame very close to some of these homes, but we see firefighters established with structure protection, and I think they're going to be able to save them. I want to give you a wide shot once again, because unfortunately we can't see all the homes off of Charmel to the right of our screen, or even the home where we know the fire spread to the house. We could see flames on the roof for a moment. It wasn't a lot, and then we saw firefighters get in with a truck and heavy water and get a lot of water on top of that structure. And it looks, from what we could tell right now, that they saved all of these homes. There may be some minor damage, but we didn't see anything that would make us conclude that a home was lost in here. And considering how bad this looked when we first started to cover it, Brandy, that's amazing. So thank goodness there are no Santa Ana winds. If there were, we would be losing a lot of houses in here.
And thank goodness for that air support that they've had from the get-go. Scott, we just got an update right now from the fire crews there. Again, you mentioned it's now 30 acres. It's been threatening, obviously, several homes there along Vista Grande Drive and Charmel Lane, but they're reporting that no structures have been damaged yet, no injuries reported. We saw a deck go up, but those fire crews able to put that out very quickly. And instead of seeing those massive red flames that were engulfing entire trees in these backyards, we're seeing a lot of white smoke thanks to all the amazing airdrops and the structure protection that these firefighters have been able to perform there, more than 150 of them. But as we're also watching from your shot there, Scott, too, this fire is moving almost parallel to the homes in the neighborhood and down other canyons as it continues to eat through that brush.
Yeah, definitely, Brandy. I'm sorry, I had someone else talking to me at the same time, so I didn't really hear your question. But the conditions we're seeing right now are favorable compared to what we saw earlier. The super scoopers are here, but this is the type of fire that a helicopter is much more effective in battling, at least when it comes up to the top of a ridgeline next to the homes there. The super scoopers are up, they're loaded, they're ready to drop, and we should see in a moment when they come in through here. But it's the helicopters that saved these homes. You know, the helicopters were here making drops long before there was structure protection. When we first got on scene, there was very few, if any, fire crews, fire engine, and actually firefighters on the ground. And that's when we were really afraid that we were going to lose a lot of houses in here. The helicopters were exceptional. You know, it's your tax dollars, but thank goodness we have a lot of them, or we could have lost a lot of these structures. I mean, city, county, they have a lot of big aircrafts that can really drop a lot of water. And then here's our biggest tool of all. Open up and pan to the left a little bit. It's the air crane, and dropping up to 2,800 gallons is phenomenal. That's a magnificent helicopter right now. It's the bad boy. It can drop so much and get right on there and drop it exactly where it needs to be. And you can get to Encino Reservoir and back, so the turnaround time probably is only about 10 to 15 minutes, which is phenomenal. And that aircraft has really been effective. I think that aircraft in particular saved at least one home. I don't know if we ever re-racked that drop.
We do have that now, Scott. Yeah, we have that video ready to go. They were able to re-rack it. Let's show it. This is on the right side of your screen, that same aircraft there. This is a moment that could have been a big major turnaround for fire crews there in saving that house. Unbelievable, the precision that they are able to do.
Yep, and I by the moment we're seeing that this looks better and better, I'd just like to open up again and give you a little perspective. You know, 30 acres, that's all on the ridge line. It's up above to the east side of Palisades Drive. And then the street you see there is Vista Grande Drive. As we pan to the right, that little street that parallels the top of the ridge lane is Charmel Lane. But if you saw this earlier, that whole ridge line was nothing but flames coming up towards those homes. Now what we see is a lot of white smoke, a lot of smoldering, and that's really what you like to see in a situation like this. It means they've made a lot of progress. It means it burned up all that fuel to the top of the hill, and then it sort of died down with the helicopters making the drops. And from what we can tell, there was one home that had some fire on the roof, but they got to that pretty quickly with ground units. And it appears to me that besides the melting of the balcony there, they probably saved these houses.
Yeah, you can see the damage there to that decking and the balcony that overlooks that was a beautiful view, but very frightening for the residents who live in this Pacific Palisades neighborhood. We do have an update as well coming from the fire department just into our newsroom. They want some retardant drops to come in from the fixed wing aircraft before they start using the giant super scoopers, according to the fire department. So there's a strategy that's taking place. If you have been with us since the very beginning, this fire started about an hour ago, and we had Brian Humphrey with LA Fire on the line with us, and he had to leave to go to a briefing and get the latest on what resources they're going to be manning and putting on this fire. It's both LA City and County Fire working hand in hand, and we've seen that time and time again in situations like this, especially during the intense wildfire seasons that we see here in Southern California. We've seen possibly a dozen homes right up next to this fire here being threatened, and from the get-go when this fire started about an hour ago, there were families that had yet to leave, families yet to evacuate, families that continue to stay there and use their own water hoses. Firefighters say they understand that people want to protect their homes, but it does help when they get out of the way of the fire crews. In fact, we saw one family who couldn't even back out of their driveway at one point because it had been blocked by fire trucks that had moved into the area. So right now, it does appear we're seeing a lot of positive signs and developing when it comes to fighting this fire. Obviously, crews from the air and the ground are putting whatever resources they can on it, Scott. But the damage appears from what we're seeing, appears to be minimal so far. And fortunately, again, we were talking to Brianna earlier, the winds aren't that strong.
Yeah, some of those homes in there that we can't see any longer, right in the middle of your screen, or now it would be to the right of your screen. You can see fire units down on that ridge line. Camp crews will get in here. I think right now it's containment more than anything, that and structure protection. But as we open up and we go to the right a little bit, you know, some of those homes we were really concerned about, we believe they saved. They saved them with the helicopters and then the ground crews that got in here, because we're seeing more and more of that just be light smoke burning up the hill. So what they'll be concerned about, if we give you a wide shot now, is containment. They have structure protection in place for those homes. I don't think those homes will take off. There's no wind pushing that uphill. It's only coming up that direction because of the terrain. But to the right part of your screen, there's a lot more thick, heavy brush. They don't want it to get up in there. That's a real concern. So right now, to be containment, that's why they may bring in the tankers to drop that retardant around it. And then that way they know that it's not really going to spread much larger than that 30 acres. Because, you know, containing 30 acres is one thing. Containing 300 acres is another. It's just the exposures are so big. Let me show you another shot. Pretty interesting. Open up, Jamie, and pan to the right up Palisades Drive. It's probably quite a way, so you can pan fairly quickly. You're going to see a bunch of cars of people that want to get out. If you were with us earlier, I explained that, you know, up Palisades Drive, there you are, Jamie, up on the center of your screen now. Those folks are trying to get out. That's the only way out of this area up here. Once you come up Palisades Drive, there's really no place else to go. Now, those folks saw the fire and they're thinking, I want to get out. But that's the danger with a neighborhood like this. In a Santa Ana wind condition, you can't get out. The reason you can't get out is because fire crews have Palisades Drive completely shut down with their units, and they are looking at a fire. They have to stage there to try and put it out. So open up a little bit. All those people right there lived in this area on the top of your screen as we open up, and they said, hey, I want to get out of here, but they can't. Now, if we had a Santa Ana wind condition and embers were starting north of us, swirling around coming down through here, this could be tragic. I mean, absolutely tragic, because those folks would not be able to get out. Now, we'll come back down to the fire itself. 30, probably 30 plus acres, but every moment that goes by, Brandy, it looks better. More white smoke. We're seeing through the smoke a little bit. We're seeing a lot of those homes we thought we were going to lose, right? I mean, it was just a wall of flames. It looked like it was going to consume those homes. And it looks like, for the most part, we see little to no damage on the homes themselves. Some balconies went up, some umbrellas, maybe some patio furniture, but the homes themselves looks like they fared fairly well here. Fire crews and the helicopters just doing a fantastic job. And now it's a matter of containing this and making sure it doesn't spread up that hill towards those other homes on Palisades Drive at the moment.
Yeah, especially when you look at the scene live on your left and what we saw earlier, what you were talking about, Scott, on your right. This is video you can see from earlier on how large, I mean, you're going to see a tree right there on the top part of your screen just go up in flames. I mean, however tall that tree is, it looks like it could be 20, 30 feet tall. The danger that posed. But now, obviously, we see a change. Brianna Ruffalo is also here with us. And Brianna, we keep talking about those winds. You know, Scott really put it in perspective a couple minutes ago when he showed us all the homes that could also be threatened by flying embers had we had those strong winds that we've seen over the past week.
Yeah, Brandy, luckily today through tomorrow is going to be the weaker Santa Ana event. We are expecting a much stronger one possibly by the end of the week. So today conditions are not too bad, but it's still warm out there. It's still dry, and we are still seeing some windy conditions in some spots. But luckily, it's not looking too bad in areas near Malibu. Looking at our Malibu camera right now, we're not seeing the trees move around too much out there, but humidity level there in the teens. It's a little bit better in the Pacific Palisades, 86 degrees though, so it's warm, but conditions could be much worse. So luckily, we're not seeing any major winds right now. Again, that's going to be toward the end of the week. we had wind advisories in effect through noon today. Those were actually expired a little earlier. And so conditions are not too bad out there. In the Palisades, we could see gusts up to about 15 miles per hour over the next couple hours, but nothing major. And so today we're just going to see some warm, dry weather there, but it definitely looks like firefighters are doing a great job in these conditions. Are not going to be too bad today until we really do start to see them pick up a little later on. It is going to be a little breezier in the Malibu Hills in some spots, but for the Pacific Palisades, we're not expecting gusts more than about 15 miles per hour. So winds fairly calm there throughout most of the day today. But in some areas in the Malibu Hills, we could see them up to about 25 miles per hour. But again, it's going to be a warm one. We have temperatures in the 80s. It's going to be dry. And then these conditions are going to get worse. We're expecting that stronger Santa Ana event toward the end of the week. But so far, just somewhat breezy conditions over the next couple of days until we're expecting those stronger winds to come later this week, about Thursday and Friday. Brandy, I'll send it back to you.
Okay, we'll have to stay on watch for those too, Brianna. Thank you so much. We're learning from fire crews as they continue. You're looking at video from earlier when the flames were massive compared to what we're seeing live right now on the left with white smoke. Fire crews still, though, trying to get control of this fire. Again, more than 30 acres. And the commander says while this is looking much better at the moment, they are expecting to be on scene for the next 8 to 12 hours. And Scott, you got to wonder if that's just to make sure that every ounce of this was put out when you talk about the winds that we're expecting later on this week. We just don't need to see anything flare up again.
Yeah, getting a complete knockdown and getting it surrounded with hand crews and making certain it can't spark up again, that's a long-term proposal right there. But right now, I think we're going to have another drop of the sky crane or the air crane. It's so effective and it's so amazing to watch. It's going to come out of the left side of your screen and drop right on that area we've been concerned about. That's Vista Grande Drive. And you will see that helicopter right there dropping 2,800 gallons or so, depending on how they're outfitted, probably for the most part could take that out. And it looks like maybe he's not worried about that. He's going to drop on something else he's been ordered to drop on through that smoke. So there's somebody on the ground directing the aircraft where they want them and where they want them to hit, or another aircraft, a helicopter, that's getting their information from the ground as to which would be the most effective spot to make the drops. But considering what we had, we are looking at pretty good progress so far. But as you mentioned, they'll be here for a long, long time. The bigger the fire, if it's 30, 35 acres, it takes them, like they said, 8 hours or so before they're going to feel comfortable. If it gets really big, then it just blows up exponentially on how long they have to stick around. I think we still have crews up on the fire up above Granada Hills just in case. So that gives you an idea how long they're still around after a fire breaks out.
Definitely, Scott. I want to ask you a question just so for people who live in Pacific Palisades right now that are wondering, is this my street? Is this my home that's threatened? This fire line that we've seen along these backyards, that's as far as it's encroaching on any homes, correct? Everything to the top of your screen and elsewhere is wildland where nothing else could be threatened at the moment, correct?
Well, if we stop right here for a moment, that street that goes to your left and then out of your screen altogether is Vista Grande Drive. So a couple of the homes right there at the intersection of Charmel Lane, those are the ones that were really affected. That's the intersection right there. Those are the ones that we thought for a moment we may lose. You see more camp crews are coming in. Mm-hmm. Every moment that goes by, we're looking better and better because there's no more fuel to burn on that ridge line that was on fire. But as we pan to the right, that's Charmel Lane. There was a couple of homes in there we may be able to see now through the smoke. That home right there, you can see they got a lot of water on it. You see damage to the railing of the balcony. As we open up and pan to the right a little bit more, there was one home that actually had fire on the roof. Was it that one, Jamie, or that one right in there, I believe? And we saw the shrubs in between the two homes catch on fire. And then we saw some embers on the roof itself. And then they got that out. So let's open up and I'll answer your question. That is Charmel Lane, just to give folks an idea where this is. Now, as we pan to the right, you're correct. There's a lot of brush in there, but up to the right of your screen, those homes a little further to the right that aren't on top of the ridgeline, aren't on Charmel, those are down off Palisades Drive. Palisades Drive runs right through that little canyon there, and that's access to all those homes up in there. And then we showed you that street where they're all piled up trying to get out. That would be in the wake of the fire if we had some winds pointing in that direction. This was terrain driven. So those homes on Charmel Lane were the ones that were really most in jeopardy because they're right on top of the hill. but certainly off of Palisades Drive, all those homes in there, they're trapped. They can't get out right now. So if you live at the end of Palisades Drive, north to Sunset, don't try and come home right now. You just won't get in. But your home is okay. And I don't think there's any concern about the homes at the end of Palisades Drive up in that community. The ones off Charmel and Vista Grande Drive, you're not going to get back into your house for some time either, but you probably don't want to be in here. You'll just be in the way. But the good news is what we see right now, if you're watching, it looks like they're going to save the homes. Unless there's something significant that happens, some big wind change or something like that, I don't see us losing any houses or this fire getting any worse. I see them slowly but surely knocking it down, and that looks like what is happening. A lot of equipment has shown up just in the last couple of minutes.
What a relief and what a remarkable job by all of these firefighters on the air, in the air and on the ground. Josh Haskell, ABC 7 Eyewitness News reporter, we're all familiar with. Josh, you're joining us on the phone. This is your hometown. I mean, as far as growing up there, is this something that you guys have faced time and time again just because of the terrain? Was this always a danger and a threat?
No, Brandy. And when you guys went on the air shortly after 11 a.m. and I started to see those photos, I was getting texts from my mom, whose home she lives. My parents live up in the Palisades Highlands community, which is about 3 minutes up Palisades Drive off of Sunset Boulevard, and was just really.
Now, if we come back up. Yeah.
I'll just start in the house and pull in too.
Okay.
believe my close friend's family has been there for over 40 years. And that just gives you a little bit of context of the fact that at least in the last 20 years that I have lived there, there's not been a situation like this. I know that my friend's home does have some brush clearance in front of it. They actually face the other side of the canyon. But seeing those pictures, a lot of brush right up next to those homes, Brandy, and it was a very scary situation with that one home about 20 minutes ago that you and Scott were reporting on.
Definitely. Josh, thanks for joining us over the phone, giving us some perspective, being that this is your hometown, your neighborhood right now that is being threatened by this brush fire. It's been going on for about an hour and a half now, and we are going to continue our live coverage here on ABC7 for you beyond what would normally be our ending newscast at noon, because this is so important right now, because homes remain threatened. We're going to continue our coverage for you in Pacific Palisades. This brush fire burning more than 30 acres at this point, and Scott Rife is overhead in Air 7 HD. I'm being joined by Giovanna Lara and Ellen Leyva here momentarily as well. Scott, you look at this, and I can't help but look at the top of your screen, and it looks like, with those homes there on that ridge line, they hit it with a water drop, but those flames are edging even closer. And if any of those trees just catch once again, like we saw earlier, it's a whole other ball game again.
Yeah, it certainly could be. The difference between what we're looking at now and what we were looking at when we first got on top of this fire is we have fire crews and structure protection in place. In the back of those homes, you have firefighters ready to go. They have wet lines back there. They're wetting this down. They're in a much better position now than they were when we first got on scene, but there wasn't one fire engine on either of these lanes. That street right there coming at you is Vista Grande Drive. Now, you could tell some of those homes look like they're in pretty tough positions with the fire, but the firefighters are here. The helicopters are making drops. I certainly think that they're going to be able to save these homes. But, I did not know. There comes the air crane, and look at how effective that is. One moment you're saying, boy, look at those flames close to the houses. And then the next moment the helicopter hits it and it really just dies down. But open up a little bit. I was unaware that there's another paved road out of this area. So that's fantastic news. That's Palisades Drive running right up to the top of your screen. And if you live up in that area, you can't get out this way. You can't get out to the south towards Sunset because fire crews have set up right there. But you could tell now about the size of the fires. We look down, they say 30, probably a little bit more than that, probably closer to 40 acres. But a lot of equipment in here, helicopters hitting it hard, ground crews with structure protection next to all those homes that are in any type of jeopardy, and things really look good compared to what we had before. Now, certainly that's not to say things couldn't go bad in a moment's notice. We've covered enough of these to know that you're never really out of the woods until you're out of the woods and the fire is out, and it's certainly not out. So we keep a close eye on it, but every moment that goes by, there's more equipment in here. We've got the helicopters making more drops. There comes the sky crane again, and he gets water, and Encino Reservoir can be right back in here and can be so effective. It's just phenomenal. That aircraft right there in particular, and can get rid of its water in 3 different drops, I believe, up to 2,850 gallons. Saw a little puff there. I think you'll see a lot more come out of it in a moment, possibly, or they're just trying to figure out where he's going to drop. But I think that helicopter right there in particular saved, if not 1 or 2 homes, because that fire was just about ready to erupt on that hillside and take that house out when he made the drop, and it was so effective.
All right, Scott Rife, thank you very much. Ellen Leyva, along with Giovanna Lara, we're continuing this live coverage of this fire that is burning in Pacific Palisades. Right now, you're looking at live pictures from Air 7, a wonderful water drop there. And if you're just tuning in, you've been watching continuing coverage of this brush fire that's threatening homes in Pacific Palisades. Fire broke out just before 11 a.m., the 500 block of North Palisades Drive.
At least 30 acres have burned so far, and people have voluntarily evacuated the area. The fire is burning in extremely steep terrain. So far, no structures have been damaged and no injuries have been reported. Several homes were threatened along Vista Grande Drive and Charmel Lane. Wind gusts have been fairly calm in the area. That's a good thing, with gusts around 10 to 15 miles per hour. More than 150 firefighters are battling the fire from the ground and the air.
Right now, we're going to check in with Brianna Ruffalo. She's been covering these winds, and how is it compared to what we were expecting, Brianna?
Yeah, it's actually not as bad as what we were expecting, at least for this first Santa Ana event. We're expecting a stronger one now later this week. So we have wind advisories that were supposed to be in effect through noon, and those actually got canceled earlier, which is great news for us and for this. So we're not seeing extreme wind gusts right now in the Pacific Palisades up to about 15 miles per hour, still possible through about the next few hours. And then it's going to be calm throughout most of the afternoon. Now, we are expecting winds to pick back up again tonight. But again, we're expecting the stronger Santa Ana wind event to be later this week. But we are still dealing with some pretty warm and dry conditions. In Malibu, we have humidity levels down to the teens, a little higher there in Pacific Palisades, but still fairly dry for today. But temperatures pretty warm out there. We're dealing with 85 right now in Malibu. And you can see it burning here from our Malibu camera there. So it is going to continue to be a little breezy over the next couple hours, but nothing like we're going to possibly see a little later this week. So wind's not going to be too strong. We're seeing breezy conditions really in some other areas in the mountain passes and areas like Santa Clarita. Luckily, nothing bad where this fire is burning right now. We could see gusts in the Malibu Hills up to about 25 miles per hour still over the next couple of hours. But as of right now, things are fairly calm. And again, these are going to pick up again overnight tonight. But right now, conditions there not terrible. We're just seeing some warm temperatures, fairly dry out there, but we are expecting the winds in the next Santa Ana wind event later this week on Thursday and Friday to be stronger than this one. So we'll continue to monitor these conditions. I'll send it back to you guys for now.
Okay, Brianna, thank you. Those temperatures have to be difficult for those firefighters. It is warm out there. All right, we have ABC News' Kana Whitworth. She was in the area of this fire and has filed a report for us.
There is a fire burning right now in Pacific Palisades, California. It has already scorched that entire hillside there behind me, and it's running up this one. Fire officials are telling us this is a perfect example of what a terrain-driven fire is like. It sort of slows down as it gets uphill. The problem right now is that at the very top of the hill where you see that smoke, that's where there are homes. So down here, while they are attacking the fire with hoses and hand crews, and what appears to be an all-female hand crew right there in the orange, they're an all-female inmate hand crew. So they're cutting line right now up the side of this hill, but they're having to do water drops and use helicopters up there to drop water and try and protect those homes. It's not terribly windy out here today, but there is just enough wind that it keeps picking up this fire again and again every time they get a handle on it. It's also very hot right now, almost unseasonably warm here in California. And so when you're looking at this fire, it's important to note they have the road closed, but there are homes just up that way and homes and shops, including mine, just down that way. So this is a major concern for firefighters, and they're trying to get this out as quickly as possible. And as I'm talking, you can see all the air attack that they have multiple helicopters here. There's also news choppers in the sky as well. It's a frantic situation, but it does look like they're trying to get a handle on this as quickly as possible.
That was Kana Whitworth reporting, ABC News reporter. And Giovanna, you could see, how that steep terrain is just, it's got to be terrain driven because there are really no winds to speak of.
There is just so much heavy fuel and as you mentioned, steep terrain. So a difficult firefight for firefighters. And we understand this fire started, as we mentioned, about 10:30, 11, shortly before 11 in a canyon below those homes. And it was only an acre at that time. And very quickly it moved. They were very close to being burned.
Right, and right up the ridge from those fires.
That's right up the ridge from where it started. And we saw patio furniture on fire. We saw brush near the homes and between the homes on fire. So firefighters have really done an amazing job. A very aggressive firefight with this. Of course, those retardant dropping aircraft help tremendously, as well as the water dropping.
We're going to check in with Scott Reif. You've been covering this, and Scott, we're seeing a lot of white smoke. That's always a positive sign.
Yeah, it certainly is. It looks much better than it did, 10:45, quarter to 11, when we thought maybe we'd lose some of these homes. We see some of the residents that have stayed there, just assisting firefighters. I could try and get this shot back up for you, where they were sucking water out of the pool. Is it that one right there or the one next door? There it is. And it looks like the residents were watching. They used a pump there, and firefighters are able to get as much water as possible from the pool on those green trees that are pretty large. That would be thick, heavy fuel, even though it's very green. It's water, not going to take off too quickly. But I want to give you a little perspective and give you a show overall of what we're seeing. Now, as we open up, on the left side of your screen is going to be Palisades Drive. That's the major that runs north-south off of Sunset. That little street that comes down toward you into the cul-de-sac, that's Vista Grande Drive. I want to push into Palisades Drive. That looks like the origin of the fire. Now, we don't have a cause yet, but it looks like that's where it started, and you can tell the type of terrain that firefighters were looking at when they showed up to a fire that started here. It is so steep, and it just took off up that ridge line. Now, I want to open up a little bit and show you that the other street that was really had homes on it that were threatened is Charmel Lane. In Charmel Lane, there's a county ship, and he's going to make a 1,000-gallon drop. That'll help. But Charmel Lane is that little street that runs up into the smoke. That one right there. There was, I would say, half a dozen, maybe 6 homes or so that were threatened with a wall of flames coming up the hill. They hit it hard with the helicopters, and at that point in time, there was no structure protection in place, and we really felt that they may lose some of the houses. Those houses you see right in the center of your screen, under the smoke, they were almost lost. They did save them with great water drops. They didn't even have structure protection in place. We'll open up now and give you a wide shot, and then on the top left portion of your screen, that's Palisades Drive, and you can see some folks thought they'd try and leave. Now, Josh had mentioned there's another way out from the Highlands area, and I wasn't aware of that. It's a paved fire road, so that's got to give you a little comfort. But a lot of folks thought, hey, we'll get out of this Highland area, try and get down Palisades Drive down that. And the reason is that's where firefighters set up. That's where they have their equipment to try and stop the fire. But a wide shot, you see the smoke from everywhere. It's really blanketed. At least today it's come up, and it hasn't laid right down on some of the homes, but you can see it from the San Fernando Valley and from Los Angeles. But this picture in totality, compared to what we had an hour ago, looks fantastic, because we really thought for a moment or two there, we were so close to losing a couple of homes on Charmel when we saw the embers get on the roof and start on fire. But that's right when the helicopters started making drops and right when structure protection got in place. And from what we can tell right now, it looks like they've saved these homes. But it was a great effort by the fire department, and it certainly was Mother Nature being on our side, because if we had the Santa Ana wind conditions, I'm certain we would have lost homes.
That's remarkable work by those firefighters. And Giovanna, I was watching these people hosing off their own porches on their backside, but you know what? They were really smart, because they did get out when the flames got too close. They all got out. They all backed up, carrying bags out to their cars.
And that's
so
the
they
most
were really
important,
good
to know that you need to go when
exactly.
you need to go.
Heed the warning.
And heed the warnings. Absolutely. We're going to check in one more time with Josh Haskell, who grew up in the area. Josh, are you with us on the phone? Do you have an update?
Yeah, hey, Giovanna and Ellen, I'm actually on my way right now, and I'm seeing the smoke and really where the fire is active right now from the 10 freeway, just to give you a sense of where we can see just how much smoke is coming from this one area. And at the bottom of, just to give our viewers some context, this is all where it started, where Scott Wright was talking about. That's not too far from where Sunset meets PCH. Palisades Drive starts right off of Sunset, near where Sunset meets Pacific Coast Highway there. This is really on the edge of Pacific Palisades, right before Malibu starts. And right at the bottom there of Palisades Drive, there's a number of shops, and there is a community known as Sea Ridge. And excuse me if I'm actually getting an emergency alert right now. But anyway, so that's the community Sea Ridge. And then about 3 minutes, you have no homes, and then you have the Palisades Highlands up there. That's where my family has lived for 20 years. But the homes that we're seeing, they're really concentrated more in the Bienvenida, Lockman Lane communities of Pacific Palisades, a lot of older homes, one-story homes, and you can just see that brush is so thick and so dry. And I cannot remember the last time there was a fire in that particular area. There have been some smaller incidents, and we've had to use that fire road in the past at the top of Palisades Drive that connects to Lockman Lane that Scott Wright was just talking about. But a little bit of context on that fire road: if Palisades Highlands had to be evacuated, the community where there's hundreds of homes up there where my family lives, they would have to drive through Lockman Lane down in the area where the fire currently is. So that wouldn't necessarily be a good situation either. So I'm glad to hear that just how hard the LAFD is hitting this fire right now. And there is a fire station also right at the bottom of Palisades Drive and Sunset in that area. So I'm sure that's where the first engines were deployed out of.
So,
Giovanna and Ellen.
So Josh, so I get it right. You're saying the only escape route for them would be Palisades Drive, where the fire started and currently is still being fought. Is that what
No,
you're saying?
there is a fire road that's paved. It's a one-lane fire road that is normally locked, but it is in place for situations like this.
Got it.
And the fire road connects the Palisades Hills community, which is in the Palisades Highlands, to the top of Lockman Lane. And if you are looking on a Google Maps or something like that, you'll see it says fire road. I'm sure the fire department, police department have keys to that. I don't believe that they've opened it yet. But that would be a second way out of that. So that's a good situation.
Good.
But I was just saying that if the Palisades Highlands had to evacuate, all those cars would be driving into the area where the fire is currently being fought. So it would be quite a traffic situation with extremely narrow roads in that neighborhood. Really, you have to pull to the side. A lot of times, only one car can kind of get through very hilly communities there up on the top of Lockman Lane, Bienvenida, and the images that showing this morning.
Then you have the challenge of the fire engines trying to get up and to fight those fires. But speaking of evacuations, Josh, you talked to your parents. How are they doing? Are they prepared? Do they have standby?
Yeah, it's just.
Josh, we lost you. Oh, Josh is driving, and sometimes the phone connection will drop. So we'll see if we can submit in a little bit. But Josh said that he hadn't seen a fire in this area in a long time. So sometimes when it doesn't happen, you're not really prepared for these things. But hopefully, folks know to gather their things quickly.
And also
with
that means a lot of fuel there, a lot of brushes. We can be watching on these cliff sides. It's really tough for them to even fight it, except from the air. We have some pictures from our Eyewitness News viewers, Giovanna, that we want to share with our folks at home. And there you have it. This is from Brandon Beardsley on the right and Linda Green. We appreciate these photos because, you can safely shoot them. Obviously, these are from a distance, but you
Princípio. Proteção solar dermatológica.
People in the house?
They can come to me again.
Okay, Josh, you're on.
Josh.
Hey there. Hey there, Ellen. Misty, as we're approaching these scenes, just a number of speeding by me on Pacific Coast Highway is trying to clearly assist residents that live up there. There's also the Califórnia School, just right at the bottom of Palisades Drive and Sunset. A pretty large school, private, and I am not sure what if the students are still there or if they were sent home for the day. That is the one school.
Well,
go for it, Ellen.
Josh,
Okay.
you know, we have to apologize. You know, it's self-service and it can be tricky like that. And we're getting about every 4 words there, Josh. So we'll establish a better connection and get back
And
with
check
Josh.
in with
Yeah,
him.
exactly.
Maybe when
I was getting more and more frantic as you call at least 4 or 5 times, and I had to like basically level with them and say, we are stuck here.
Canyon that was on fire, that was in the middle of the road where people had to abandon their cars. I know people that live in that gated community right there on Sunset and Palisades, the hillside behind my house.
Now we come back up.
Yeah. I'll just start in the house and pull in too.
Okay.
There.
Yes, and the fire department does a good job of communicating with homeowners and really getting on them every year. We get the notices. I don't know if you get a notice, but you make sure that your brush clearance is where it needs to be to protect your home and protect your neighbors, and again, prevent firefighters from having to do work that they shouldn't have to
do. You know, we've been watching pictures that you've been sending into our social media accounts, and we want to thank you for being an eyewitness to this fire and posting your pictures and video of the fire. If you have any pictures or video to share, you can also do it safely and send it to us using that hashtag ABC7 eyewitness, and hopefully we have a few of those. Yeah, there we go.
There we go.
And you can see earlier on, this was a lot of dark smoke that was billowing up from Palisades, and since then we've seen a big relief with
I'll just start in the house and pull in too.
Okay.
Did we turn on my microphone? There you are.
Yeah, it's been a stubborn fire, as you said. Started around 10:30 up here in the Pacific Palisades. Quickly roared up from Palisades Drive up the side of that hill. So it had a lot of terrain to burn up. You can see the area that is burned just below those houses. But with the efforts of the LA City Fire, County Fire, and other surrounding agencies coming in to assist, they're able to keep it out of those houses. Right now, they just have a stubborn flank right here on the left side working here. We just saw a big flare up here a second ago, but they quickly got in there with heli tankers and dropped water on it to slow it down. But you can see there is a phos check line right there next to the fire. So that's hopefully going to stop any progression of that fire to the left. They're letting it kind of burn up, but they're hitting it pretty hard with the with the helicopters with the water dropping. And also up under that smoke are firefighters on structure protection with large hose lines shooting down towards the fire as it comes up and taking the heat out of it so it doesn't make any run. So luckily we have cooperation with the wind here, not a lot of it coming onshore, a very gentle breeze coming from the ocean. You can tell why by the smoke going straight up. As we poke in there, you can see those firefighters directly in the backyards of those houses using hand lines to keep the flames at bay as the hill, it comes up the side of the hill here. So right now, a good firefight going on by the firefighters here, Pacific Palisades, just working this one stubborn hotspot on the left flank. So that's the latest. Let me send it back down to you. All right. Yep. Here comes a tanker drop from left to right. Where is he? There he is. MD-87. Right. What? That guy? That? Yeah, air attack. Yeah, he's at 4,000. We're at 47. All righty. Looking for you. There you are. Yeah. All right. All right. Lower left, lower right. I mean, lower right. Well, there's that one too. Yeah. That's fine. This one's good. They're doing the same thing. Just dropping water. The other guy already dropped. All right, come back. Well, see, let's go over here and see what's over here. That way, we don't have so much smoke. Well, so just in case we don't have enough smoke here, we can move around this side.
Better? Yeah, we're a little bit higher. I'll just start in the house and pull in too.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, it's from the downwash from the helicopters. Yeah, I'm listening to them on the aviation side. We got a tanker or a lead plane coming in. Take a look here. Here he comes, make a big turn. You're going to be top left. You'll pop here in a second. He's just checking to see if he can get tankers through there. That was a test run. I think that last jet got I think that last jet got a little close to the terrain coming out of that drop. So he's setting up his line to go down canyon. The MD-87 got really close to the hillside over here. The hillside, the MD-87 got real close to the hillside. So I think he's reevaluating his direction of entry. One minute. Yeah, I have to give a lot of credit to these guys flying the helicopters here, knocking this left flank down. It was roaring here just a few minutes ago, but they were able to get in there with the helicopters, cool it down. Also, a big MD-87 came through with a Phos-Chek drop, putting down about 4,000 gallons worth to cut off the path of that fire off to the west. You see right in here, you have a lot of still residual smoke in there, and right in that smoke are hand crews working. In fact, they're working so close to the line that the downwash from the helicopters as they came through was blowing debris onto them. So that's how tight they're working in there. And you see the hand crews right there, right on the edge of the black, as they call it, the burnt area, trying to get in there and put out anything residual embers that are in there as the firefighter and the helicopters come through and hit the heavier spots. So it's a team effort up here. Hand crews doing the heavy lifting down there, trying to cut the line around this fire. The fire helicopters trying to take the heat out of the fire and slow its progression, as well as those tankers coming in and putting down the Phos-Chek to try to start the containment on this. But you can see still a lot of area burning down here, a lot of hot spots still burning within the fire zone. But right now it's still a very dangerous fire. LA City Fire, County Fire, along with CAL FIRE working this, trying to stem it before it gets too late and before sundown, when the aircraft have to go away, except for those few helicopters that are going to work this. But right now you see a small spot in the middle, and they'll work on that a little bit. But right now it looks like a great improvement over about an hour ago. So that's one of the latest here. Let me send it back down to you. Roger. If you look out your window, you'll see a sky crane coming down below, downtown. Okay. Got an MD-87 going across the nose here, so he's just orbiting, looking for a spot to go to. See how he missed the pause check? Yeah. There's a helicopter right at the bottom of your screen. There he is. Brenner. Clear. So, okay, hopefully this MD-87 is going to be doing a drop. Okay, they're holding the helicopters. He's out over the ocean, making a swing around through the smoke. Okay, he's out here off my nose. He's picking up his lead. Yeah, be close. Yeah, he'll come in from left to right. He's going to go right down that line and into that canyon. Yep. That's the lead. Air attack is the guy up top, controlling everything. 1 minute. This might work out perfect. that line and meeting up with the one that's already there. And he's going right down that steep canyon of Palisades Drive. So just kind of worked its way through here. We watched earlier as the elite plane came in and practiced that run, because the last one that came through kind of got him close to the hillside on the opposite side. So they brought him right down that canyon, real low and slow, to drop that phos check, because they have to put it out at a certain speed so it doesn't spread out too much, but they want to get it in there nice and thick. As you can see right there, that orange on the foliage is going to come down, land on it, dry up, and take that fuel away from this fire. So they continue to paint these lines around here. Now the helicopters will come back in that have been holding, will jump in there and hit those little hot spots like you see right there. So a coordinated effort from the air to contain this fire, to kind of steer it away from any new fuels, and then the helicopters in here coming in and knocking off any little hot spots, and then those hand crews once again doing the real hot, dirty work right under that smoke, working in the black area, trying to knock off anything left. You see here LA County Fire helicopter coming down real slow here, going to come down through, kind of slide through, and then just casting that water down in a nice pattern to be able to hit this edge. And he wants to make sure that he does not hit that phos check line, because that water will wash the phos check off of the plants down there, and he doesn't want to do that. But you see the steam coming up, taking out the heat of that fire. So great work by the LA County Fire, City Fire helicopter guys, as well as all the folks on the ground here doing the hard, dirty work on this fire. So that's the latest. We send it back down to you. Yep. Clear. Hey, 7, I heard you coming up. I'm on the west side of the fire, 46. TV7, TV5 on 02. All right. Okay. 90 seconds back. Okay. down at the bottom, you got a sky crane. Right. Air attack TV5 on 2292. Yeah, I copied that over on Rotor Victor. Are you going to let us still work here below 5? Stay out of the class Bravo. All right, I got to negotiate with LA Center. They're not really helpful out here. Okay. Okay, so I can stay at 48 right now until 1630. Is that what you said? Okay, and I'll stick it out over the water. I noticed I was in the east side of your or the west side of your orbit here, so I'll get out over the water for you to give you more room. TV4, TV5 on O2. They drove me offshore, dude. So I'm sorry. Dad put me offshore here. I got to stay out there. He's driving the TFR up at 5,500, which puts me in the LA approach, and they're not really cooperative with it. TV4, TV5 on 02. Nine, are you up on 02? All right. Yeah, I was just talking with Air Attack. They want us to stay offshore here above 4,500, and about 1630, they're going to plan to push us up to 5,500. Yeah, right now stay above 4,500 offshore. Do you ever get in contact with him? All right. Yes, I am. Sorry, I'm offshore here, 4,700. All right. Let me get up here. Whoa. Get out of this smoke. Simon Desk Guy 5. Yeah, I think that's 5 coming at you. You're just approaching shoreline. Okay. Making a left turn. All right. All right. I got 4. Simon Desk Guy 5. Oh, it's good to be thought of. Hey, what's the plan here, Lee, for the end of the show? Yeah, all right. Copy that. Thank you. Five's in our right turn back to the east. Got another fire burning down south. Are you hearing anything down in Orange County? I see a pretty good plume down there. Yeah, I don't see anything over there. I saw some little bit of smoke coming off the old fire, but I got a pretty good header way down south, probably about Irvine, or maybe between here and Irvine. Oh, I still have another hour and a half. Do you see it down there? No, we don't. No, we don't get anything in county anymore. Okay. All right, 5 is going to be out of here. I'm going to punch out to the west here, or east. 9, I got you there. Air attack, TV5. Okay. I'll pass you right. Air attack, TV5, 2292.
All right. We're here. What street is that? Okay, that's not off Sunset. Is that going to be Temescal Canyon? Temescal Gateway Park. Hey, Booth Sky 5, can you hear us? Well, we're very busy trying to get up here, but we're here. Thank you for understanding. Yep. Yeah, we sure can. Hi, good morning, everyone. Yeah, we are just now coming up over the area here. This is going to be the area about 1.5 miles, maybe 2 miles north of Pacific Coast Highway here. It's just a little bit north of Sunset Boulevard here. Mescal. This is a fire that was initially reported just about 30 minutes ago. About 10:40 is when this fire was first reported. As engine crews started to come on scene here, they did notice a 1-acre brush fire that was rapidly moving in heavy brush uphill. And that's kind of what we're seeing right now. Well over an acre at this point, probably something on the order of 10 to 20 acres now. Quickly growing fire that is now moving uphill into the neighborhood just up towards the east here now. This is a fire that is burning very intensely. You see a lot of active flame there. We do have several water dropping helicopters that are now in position to start making water drops here from the LA City Fire Department as well as LA County Fire Departments. We also have fire crews that are in the neighborhood here, in those homes, near those homes, up at the top of the ridge, and they are prepared to make their stance and make their fight in terms of structure protection here. So this, again, is a pretty fast-moving fire that has just kicked off less than 30 minutes ago, and it is a very active burning fire, burning in a lot of brush north of PCH, north of Sunset Boulevard. I believe that's going to be off to Mescal Canyon here. We'll try and get some confirmation, but as you can see, it is a very active burning fire here. Now, in terms of wind, and that is going to be an issue for us here. We do not have a whole lot of wind that we are dealing with right now. Have a look at that. That smoke is essentially kind of trailing straight up. So it's not necessarily burning towards the ocean through the canyons like we might expect during a heavy Santa Ana wind event. Right now, at least, the smoke is essentially just going straight up kind of lazily. And that is certainly some good news here. Hopefully, it'll help the firefighters in their efforts to try and contain this fire sooner than later here. Several water dropping helicopters around the perimeter of the fire here. We have fire crews staging in the neighborhood here. Again, in terms of structure protection, they are putting their assets in place to be able to contain this fire, hopefully sooner than later, guys. Let me send it back down to you. Temescal Canyon Road. No, not really. That long street, what is that? This one right here? Okay, Palisades Drive. Dang, why am I not seeing this? Oh, okay. I see where we are. Okay. Okay, I got it. A little bit better anyways. Okay. Five's on the northeast side, back southbound. I've got you two over there. That could be off via Vista Grande and maybe Charmel Lane. Charmel Lane. Okay. All right. Vista Grande Drive and Charmel Lane. $3,000 and above. Okay. We have a heavy Sikorsky moving in from the right. Be there in about 10 seconds. Okay. Coming into the shot from the right. Watch this. My goodness, yeah, the perspective would have to be completely different once you're on ground level from as opposed to our level here. We're at 3,300 feet above the fire here. Just to give you a quick update on location here, this is going to be on the hillside, just on the east side of Palisades Drive. This is going to be a street called Charmel Lane, right at the intersection of Vista Grande Drive. Now, a couple of minutes ago, Rich, our Sky 5 photographer, was really showing you something very, very scary. Fire that was in the backyard, essentially, of a couple of these homes. Now, thanks to the efforts of the firefighting helicopters, these water-dropping helicopters, as well as structure protection crews that are in place, it looks like they are able to hold the fire off at least temporarily here. But this fire is moving pretty fiercely uphill. Look at that heavy Erickson helicopter. That's an S-64 helicopter capable of dropping as much as 2,600 gallons of water over the course of multiple drops here. So that is what you're seeing right there. Firefighting helicopters doing their very best to save property on this hillside here. So again, Vista Grande Drive, Charmel Lane. This is on the east side of Palisades Drive where this fire broke out about 45 minutes ago here. So again, from our perspective, it the smoke is blowing straight up. We're not seeing a whole lot of winds that are carrying the flames here, but down at ground level where all that smoke is, it's got to be a whole different perspective. The skies have got to be dark and gray and ominous. You see all those firefighters that are in place. They're trying to do their very best to save some of these structures here. It does look like some of those flames have been beaten back by the water dropping helicopters as well as firefighters that are on those properties there. But again, Charmel Lane, just north of Vista Grande Drive, is where this is taking place here. You got firefighters in the backyards overlooking the cliff there, and they are just doing their very best to save property here, guys. There's fire creeping up. Okay. Yeah, county fire's coming in from the left. County fire's coming in from the left. Quick, 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 quick. Coming in hot. Yeah, you know what? That's something that we not uncommon to see here. Residents trying to protect their properties here, and you know, every little bit helps, I suppose, is what their mindset is. I don't know that that's the smartest thing to do, especially when we do have professional firefighters in the neighborhood with the right equipment, with the right amount of water, doing what they do best here. Now that combined with the whole concept of trying to coordinate airdrops, you know, safely in the area here. Look at that flame! Oh my gosh, that flame is really kind of creeping up the hill. You know, the fire is really kind of creeping up to some of the properties here, right into the backyards here. This is a property that's imminently under threat. Look at the residents here that are now realizing that they are not in the right place. They're making a run for it there. And again, that's going to be Vista Grande Drive, not too far from Charmel Lane here. We suspect that some of those folks might, hang on just a moment. Okay, we're good. Okay. Yeah, have a look at this, guys. I don't know if you can hear me. Okay, if you can hear me, okay, here we go. You can see a lot of that fire is burning near the top of the hill. So that fire is essentially burning in the backyards of some of these homes here. Now, that is kind of the spread of the fire, as we can tell right now. It's essentially burning uphill to the top of the hill, right towards those homes. Now, those homes are right off of Grande Vista and right off Charmel Lane here, just on the east side of Palisades Drive. If we widen out the shot, we can kind of show you the spread of the fire. The most active flank of the fire is that we are showing you right there. It's burning right there at the top of the hill, right up against the homes, and it's now in the backyards of some of those homes. Now, hopefully they will be able to stop that fire as it approaches some of those backyards here, but unfortunately, it does look like it is in some of the backyards. Some of these homes might sustain damage. We just don't know at this point. There is a steady stream of water-dropping helicopters that are coming in. Rich, we have one coming in from the left. He's just going to be coming into the smoke here. He'll be there in about 10 seconds or less. He is a city fire helicopter just making a drop over on the kind of northern flank of the fire right there that you can see here. So, again, that is also also one of the more active flanks of the fire here. That fire is also burning uphill towards some of the homes along Charmel Lane here. So the active fire is burning uphill, not necessarily burning sideways, but burning literally uphill towards the homes. And that's kind of what we're showing you right now. A lot of those water dropping helicopters are burning, are sending their water drops right at the top of the hill here in an effort to protect some of those homes. We suspect that to some degree they have been successful, but look at that shot right there. Without being able to see through the smoke, we just can't tell how close that is to the homes, but there's some of the homes that you can see. That home is literally just in the line of fire there. So that fire is burning right up to the backyard, right creeping up to the edge of the property here. So hopefully they will be able to get some water on those flames before it actually makes contact with the homes here. But we also have the threat of burning embers. We also have the threat of these firestorms creating their own weather systems, especially down at ground level here. So beyond that, above ground level, smoke or wind pushing the smoke in any which direction here. That smoke is still kind of moving uphill or moving just straight up. So that is hopefully a benefit to the firefighters as they try and work on this fire here. But again, I would estimate that the most threatened area is going to be right along those homes along Charmel Lane, and that is something that they are focusing their efforts on right now. I do understand that the Quebecs 1 and 2, the super scoopers, are going to be coming in as well, so they are going to be able to drop some